Going into this final episode of Series 1 of Asterisk War, I was worried that it would be quite underwhelming. I mean, we all knew what was going to happen and more or less how it would all turn out, but what about the overall execution of it all? This anime isn't exactly amazing when it comes to execution. So in episode 12 of Asterisk War, Ayato and Hulis face off against Vampire Girl and her sister, but Ayato and Hulis are really just fighting against Vampire Girl, let's be honest. But before all that, we get a flashback of Vampire Girl and her sister growing up as orphans together in order to, show how much of a bond they both have, I guess. Oh my goodness, it would have just been more effective to have a scene with them talking with each other about their relationship, like in the hospital scene towards the end that they have. That scene had more impact than the little flashback that we got at the beginning, and also right just before the final fight, Ayato apparently has a trick up his sleeve, and for some unknown reason, even though he and Hulis are in a room alone together, he still whispers his trick to Hulis. What the heck? Why do anime characters do that? I saw something very similar in Hidan no Oraya AA episode 11, which was a very underwhelming episode, by the way, so I guess characters unnecessarily whisper to each other in anime, like an anime cliche thing. So then Ayato and Hulis fight Vampire Girl, and it's more or less an even match, even though it's technically 2 against 1. I guess Vampire Girl has trained specifically for fighting 2 at a time, so it wasn't much of a surprise that she managed to hold off both Ayato and Hulis. It was all kind of intense, I guess, and Ayato and Hulis finally got the upper hand on Vampire Girl. But then, Vampire Girl goes full vampire! Holy shit! What happens next is interesting. In fact, I don't really know what the hell happened. Ayato went full beast mode, waved his sword and that did something, and then he destroyed Vampire Girl's weapon, okay? After that, we get a shit ton of teasers, including way too many new characters that aren't very interesting, and Ernesta and Ayato's friend. Seriously, does anyone actually know the name of Ayato's friend? Say all this stuff about how the next series will be so great and everyone should stick around to watch it. So yeah, this was a kind of intense episode with above average action, and it wasn't a total letdown. It did get a little silly when the opening theme song played when Ayato went full on badass. Couldn't A1 Pictures have found a less distracting song? In terms of my final thoughts on this series overall, I really like the colours and I really like Sasami as a character. Sasami, oh my goodness, right. That is how you represent an autistic character in a subtle yet effective way. That's why I really like how Saya was represented in this anime. Unfortunately, I really didn't like how shallow this anime. This is one of the most shallow anime I've ever seen. It's all colour and no decent storytelling or character development. And it starts with 8 episodes. And those 8 episodes just become pointless when the actual tournament begins. I also don't get why the actual motivation for Ayato, him finding his sister, was forgotten about all the fucking time throughout this series. Honestly, this should have just been a straight up action anime which cuts straight to the tournament with Saya as the main character. And I think this anime was just so popular because it pandered so much to the mainstream. It put lots of average and safe stuff together, but the overall end product was an average and safe anime that looks more or less good. I'm not too sure if I care enough about Asterisk War to watch even more shallow stuff in the next series, but if everyone starts saying that Series 2 is really good, then I'll give it a try. In the meantime, whilst this anime wasn't exactly great when it comes to overall execution, I am a sucker for technically strong anime. If I was to assign a star rating for Asterisk War Series 1, it would get a 3 stars out of 5.